they are still business guys though. And like when you look at marijuana and then cocaine, you know, especially with cocaine, which was a huge moneymaker for them and continues to be, it's a party drug. You know, it's something people abuse in the clubs and stuff like that all throughout the United States. Rich people will even do it, you know?
It was in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah. Also, right at the beginning, I was working at Fusion, another TV station at the time. I went to my editor and I told him, hey, I want to do a story about this new drug hitting the streets called fentanyl. He said, what? Nobody's heard about this.
How did you first hear about it?
Because I have a really good contact in law enforcement and on the street. And they'd been telling me there's this new thing. And it started also as a drug for terminally ill cancer patients, much like Oxycontin. And but it's being abused on the street now. And so I started trying to convince my editor that this was an important story. He eventually agreed. When our story came out, I think came out in March, the year before had been the first year ever that one state, it was New Hampshire, the only state where there were more deaths from fentanyl than heroin. And at that time, it was just one state. Again, nobody had heard about fentanyl. But I traveled to Mexico, to Sinaloa, and interviewed a member of the Sinaloa cartel, showing us he had a kilo of heroin mixed with fentanyl. At the time, it wasn't pure fentanyl. They would mix heroin with fentanyl. And he told us how they had the Sinaloa cartel had hired a chemist in Colombia. They paid him, I think it was like $40,000 or $50,000 to teach them how to make fentanyl using Chinese precursors. And I remember at one point the Marines show up and the guy, there's like this 1 kilo of heroin and mixed with fentanyl right next to me. And the Marines show up and the guy takes off. And then I'm like sitting there. There's a shot of me with the 1 key heroin being like, what the fuck? If the Marines show up, here I am with this. What do I do now?
That's when you pull out the Instagram and be like, journalists.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Press, pass. I promise I have nothing to do with this. But that was right at the beginning. And it was sort of the best $50K dollars that that the cartel has ever spent, and they were that, and that's why the Sinaloa cartel were sort of the ones who really started the whole fentanyl trade. I mean, they were very early on because they realized that Americans were abusing pharmaceutical fentanyl,
right?
And they were like, "Oh, we can make this in our labs, and we don't." Heroin is made, as you know, it comes from poppies. You have to depend on the seasons and how that season does and all that cultivation. And this shit, we can make it in a lab with some chemicals that cost nothing coming from China. So we're going to make it. And yeah.
You ever read Ben Westhoff's book, Fentanyl Inc.?
No.
On this?
No.
Wrote a great book about it. I had him in here a couple months back, but he fell into this story. He explained on the podcast how he did it, but he had been working on something else and then found out about the drug and started researching it, and it turned into this book. And he was like a music reporter, a music and culture reporter. He's like, well, I guess I should look at this.
Yeah.
Fucking flew to China himself.
Yeah.
And just set up a meeting. It was kind of hilarious how it happened with the precursor creators.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, so I'll take $50,000 worth.
Wow.
Walks right out as if he could do it. Like they took him into the inner sanctum and he's like, this is government funded,
sanctioned.
basically.
Yeah,
it's sanctioned. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's government sanctioned.
Right.
And he saw the scale of it. And what's always struck me, though, I understand why China would do that and stuff. They're over there. It's like a reverse opium war. It makes sense. But, it's dark, obviously. But the cartels, obviously, these are very vicious people. They are still business guys, though. And like when you look at marijuana and then cocaine, especially with cocaine, which was a huge moneymaker for them and continues to be, it's a party drug. It's something people abuse in the clubs and stuff like that all throughout the United States. Rich people will even do it, But with fentanyl, it kills people. And to me, it's like the huge investment they made in let's push this because a bunch of people in America are addicted to it. It feels to me like that put an extra target on their back.
Yeah,
I'm curious what the calculation was there for them to do that besides a quick get rich thing.
I don't think they thought that far, quite frankly. I think they realized it a little too late, particularly the Chapitos, El Chapo's sons, and that's why I went. So I've done 3 stories on fentanyl, and the last one was about tranq dope, which is essentially fentanyl mixed with tranquilizer. But we went to Sinaloa and saw how all the chemists were now prohibited from making fentanyl, and because the Chapitos realized that as much money as they were making from this, there's a huge target on their backs, and sooner or later the U.S. was going to catch them, and they did. And so they prohibited all chemists from making. And for these guys, the chemists, it's their livelihood. So a few of them had been killed. They'd been hung in bridges. There was signs with photos of the guys hung, the chemists that had gone against the rule of the cartel. And we interviewed one chemist. It was an incredible interview with a guy who had a fentanyl lab under his house. He happened to have a house that was built right above one of those sort of drain, what do you call those? Storm drains, the gigantic storm drains. And so he took us, we went in a ladder down to this storm drain, and he showed us exactly where he used to have his lab, and he was making tons of fentanyl. And then the cartel came, the 2 hitmen, and pointed a gun and told them that you are prohibited from making fentanyl any longer. And if you do, you were coming back and killing you. And he stopped and he was like, it sucks because I don't have anything else. I don't know what else to do. And he was scared. He was super scared. You could see the whole time he was like shaking us, telling us this story.
How'd you get in touch with him?
Through some sources and I have an incredible journalist that is
that guy.
Yeah,
okay.
Miguel Angel Vega, who's an incredible guy. I've worked with him for many, many years. I mean, I've reported more from Sinaloa than anywhere else in the world. And me and him, I remember first time I ever got access to a fentanyl lab. I was there with myself, a cameraman, Miguel, and I've been trying for years. And then finally we got the call and the cartel told us, okay, we'll pick you guys up in the middle of the night. We're going to blindfold you. We're going to take you to an undisclosed location, no cell phones, but you'll be able to film inside a lab. And I called my husband super excited, telling him, hey, I got this. And his first response was, just make sure they film you as you're being blindfolded. Yeah. I was like, this is why I love you.
Production first, safety later. That's what I'm talking about. Wow. When you talk with a guy like that, though, I would imagine you spoke with him about his background, where he's from, his childhood. What was his story? What was his environment when he was growing up? Because obviously he's a smart guy. He's a chemist.
The chemist, yeah.
He had to be educated, right?
Yeah. So that time when they said they were coming up, pick us up in the middle of the night, actually didn't happen. They never did. But a couple of years later, for another episode we did for Trafficked, we went inside. Really smart guy. Really smart guy. He owned a pharmacy in town. He had a few other businesses that he didn't want to tell us about on camera. And he really knew his shit. He was really a chemist. Because I'd been in some
on camera, but not the other businesses.
Yeah. Well, he was afraid it was too identifiable, but he really knew his shit. And we are, a fentanyl lab is very different from a cocaine lab and a meth lab. The level of protection is intense. We went with full hazmat suits. We had a mask that we had to have training to how to use this mask to make sure it had to be fitted to our face. We had an expert come to our office in LA and fit every single one of our team's faces for this mask. It was, I hated every step of it because
safety first.
Yeah. I always say safety fourth. Look good, sound good, look good, safety fourth. That's our team motto. It's a joke. And so, which is why I hated this whole process of taking these masks and hazmat suits, but it was really the only way. But we get there, we were finally inside, we're geared, it's hard to breathe. And this guy has one of those like COVID masks on and like a bandana across his head and neck. And that's pretty much it. And these gloves. And then when I ask him this is very, very dangerous. Like, how do you, because a lot of these labs actually explode. It's very, very dangerous. If you do one thing wrong, these labs explode all the time. Yeah.
All the time this happens.
Yeah, people die in these labs all the time. Some are from explosions, some are from just touching and overdosing, obviously, of mishandling of the drugs and overdosing. And I'm talking about fentanyl labs. Meth labs actually tend to explode much more than fentanyl labs. But in general, drug labs, illicit drug labs, tend to not be the safest work environment. And I asked him, like, how do you know it's done? And he said that you feel it in your skin and your heart starts palpitating more, and that's how he knows that the fentanyl is good, that it's done and it's good quality. And I have said this before, and people say, well, that's bullshit because fentanyl is an opiate and it's a downer, it's not an upper. Yes, but the symptoms of an overdose is that the heart slows down, right? But his explanation, I actually now can't even remember what his explanation was, but there was a reason. Oh, I know why. When you start feeling the effects of the precursor chemicals that are used in fentanyl, your heart actually, and if you're exposed to it the way that he is, your heart actually starts palpitating faster. And that's what he explained to us. We filmed it all, and again, he had no protection. And yeah, and he told us he runs a business in town. He's been a chemist all his life. He was approached by the cartel, and in his situation, they offer him good money, but in a lot of cases, it's not a will you do it or not. You have to do it, and you either do it or your family is at risk, or you are. We'll kill you.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.